Ladies and gentlemen, here with a very good friend and mentor of mine, Dustin Taylor. He is currently the head men's tennis coach at Oklahoma State University. Dustin, DT, how are we doing? Welcome on.
Hey, James. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. I'm a little bit humbled that I think I'm probably 5th, 7th, 10th now down your list. I keep seeing these popping up on Instagram feeds, and I thought I'd be a little earlier on the roster, but hey, here we are. So I appreciate you having me.
If at any point this recording gets a little crackly or it's not too clear, just be patient with us. DT is traveling the world. He's a college tennis coach. He's recruiting. And I guess, DT, you can tell us a little bit. Where are you? What are you doing? Explain to people what's going on.
Yeah, over in Europe, just wrapping up a recruiting trip. I think it's the first time I've ever been over to Europe in the fall. We've got 6 guys back home that are in Stillwater this semester, 2 high-powered coaches that are doing a great job that obviously you trust, and just had an opportunity to come over here for 2 quick in-home visits and pop by a tournament, see another potential Cowboy play, and wrapping up the trip tomorrow, headed back to Stillwater and back to work with the boys. But I'm over in Europe, and it's been a great week.
You know what that means, right? If you're over in Europe and the Ryder Cup is this weekend, you have to cheer for Europe. So
really, well, good thing I'm getting on the plane tomorrow, because I get a transfer. Maybe I'll check the score and decide which one I'm going to lean. But no, I know this is a big weekend for you.
I love it.
And we'll be taking a few shots at each other, but I'll be rooting on the Americans. But we do have Victor Hovland on your European team, who is a former Cowboy and lives in Stillwater, Oklahoma. So fair fight. I hope Victor picks up some points, but I hope USA comes away with the cup.
I love it. Well, what I wanted to, first of all, explain to people is every single college tennis coach is different. They have their strengths, they have their weaknesses. Everyone knows that. One of the things that I want people to know about DT is he is a real tennis mind. You will not find many better college tennis coaches who actually understand and know that game of tennis. Just a few things that I'm going to rattle off here. Just background of DT. From 2005 to 10, he was the ATP and junior development coach. From 2010 to 14, he was the national coach for men's and collegiate tennis at the USTA. From 14 to 17, he was the associate head coach at Virginia, where they obviously had huge success. From 17 to 19, he was the lead national coach for Team USA. From 19 to 21, he was the ATP and junior development coach. And from 2021 to present, he is the head coach of Oklahoma State men's tennis. DT, that is an arguably insane amount of experience in coaching, not only in college tennis, but in professional tennis. Tell us what you've learned. I know that's a lot of information, but tell us what you've learned. Tell us all those experiences, anything that stand out to people that are tuning in today.
Wow, that ages me a bit as you go over the resume. Starting in 2005, I was what, 23 years old then. Now that I'm 43, so that would make sense. First player was Brian Wilson. Got to always give him a credit for just grabbing his doubles partner from a challenger a year earlier and asking if he'd come help him for a week in Mexico City. And 20 years later, you've had the experiences and the relationships and the times that I've had. So, gosh, coaching is the most humbling thing in the world. A few times throughout that those past 20 years, I have stepped away from coaching, believe it or not. I did it right before I got into coaching, right out of college, right after I stopped playing. And what I learned at that period is how much I love the game, how much I miss the game, how much, it brought back the privileged mentality, the grateful mentality to be surrounded by people that share in a collective passion and love. And then I did it again in 19, actually. So I was managing more players in that 19 to 21 period than I was really coaching them. I was actually working for Hard True, the green clay company, and full time, and really loved my time there. But I've learned that you got to keep evolving. You got to keep learning. My personal mission is to bring freedom and bring joy to my players. Freedom and joy to my players, and to have that joy is to be constantly learning. The element of joy is actually, constantly evolving, constantly learning. And to do that, you got to be humble. You got to be willing to listen, and you got to be willing to, reflect and look back and then move forward. So I'd say for me, the biggest thing I've learned is just stay humble. It's the most humbling job in the world. And you're only as good as your players. Again, if I littered out the laundry list of players that were a part of those last 20 years, my goodness, I've got a lot of people to thank, a lot of guys to thank for just having me a part of their journey. At the end of the day, it's not my journey, it's their journey, it's their career. And I'm just trying to help any way that I can. So it's been an amazing ride, and I feel like I'm just getting started.
Talking about players,
Yeah.
Prominent players that you've coached: Steve Johnson, Tennis Sangren, Dennis Kudla, Bradley Klan, Ryan Sweeting, Tim Smichek, Robert Kendrick, Ryan Shane, Ty San Kwiatkowski. I'm sure I've missed some players on that list, but a question I have for you is, when you've been around these guys who have, a lot of them, dominated college tennis and gone on to be successful professionals, what separates them? Obviously talent. Obviously they're good tennis players, right? But there's also a lot of good tennis players out there. What separates them, and what makes them become actually legitimate pros where they're making and putting money in the bank each year?
I think number one is belief. I mean, all those guys believed that they could do it. It all starts with belief. If you don't believe that you belong, you don't believe that you can win, you can have as much talent as you want. You're gonna have doubts that creep in at some point. Everyone does. And those guys just tackled those doubts and just kept believing. So I'd say belief, the number one thing you have to have, right? And like, you're going to have doubt, you're going to have insecurity, you're going to have fear, you're going to have all that. But those guys all believe that they could be pros. And sure enough, they became pros. Then I go to the character piece. Honestly, if I went straight down the rankings of the former players that I've been, fortunate enough to be a part of, Steve Johnson, I wasn't on the bag when he went to 20. That was Craig Boynton, CB, amazing coach, a mentor of mine. But I was with Stevie while he was in school, and then the first year and a half that he was out of college. And Stevie, still to this day, and I apologize to any players that listen to this that might have maybe done something close to this, but Stevie Johnson was, and to this day, the lone player. And it was not only when he was a current player, but it was also when he was a former player, sent Christmas gifts and a handwritten note to me and my kids with a Christmas present. And
that's amazing.
And I still have the note. I show my children now that the guy who got the most out of his career, the guy that reached the highest peak, was also the most grateful, the most respectful. And that goes on to, probably the next guy was Sangren, who, again, that's a tough cookie right there. That's a volunteer right there. But that guy would take a bullet for me. I wouldn't say that about too many people, but Sang is absolute soldier. And he ton of respect, a ton of gratitude for anybody that was a part of his journey. Then probably the next guy is Dennis Kudla, who, Dennis got to 55 in the world. Probably my favorite year might have been, throughout that 20 years, might have been 2018, when Dennis Kudla made a resurgence and went from 200 to 60 in the world, 56 he started the next year. Being along that journey with him on a one-year tear like that was really, really special. But another guy that just we stay in contact to this day. He's working with Riley Opelka right now. The guy was as humble, as hardworking, as grateful as you get as well. And you just go down the list. So something has to factor in there. That has to be said. But it also takes me back to a quote. I was sitting with Sangren. Sangren asked me if I could help him 2 summers ago because he was coming back from injury, and we were sitting at the French. And unfortunately, he got hurt at that French. He beat the 1 seed first round in qualies and then lost second round to Kuznets, good player. I can't remember, Russian guy. But we're sitting having lunch. I say, Sang, what's the key to greatness? You've been 35 in the world, quarters of 2 Australian Opens. And, Sangren, he's a philosophical guy. That guy's smart his own way.
Yep.
Goes, let me think about it for a second. And then Sang goes, DT, you know what? For me, the key to greatness is one's ability to delay gratification. And I said, hold on a second, Sang. I put that in my phone. It's written up in our locker room to this day with Tennis Sangren under it. And that stuck with me. I don't know why. I mean, you know life, how life goes. Some things stick and some things don't. But looking back on those guys, it almost goes down the ranking on guys' ability to just trust a process and continue and continue and continue and continue. And and I look at the players that I've been with that have struggled. That again, throughout those 20 years, it's not like everybody popped off and everybody knows their name. I've certainly been with players that didn't maximize their talent, and you'll lose sleep on those guys for sure. But it really hit me like, you know what, that if I go down the ranking, if I go down who maximized their talent the most, Sang might be pretty dead on right there.
Yep. Well, these stories, I'm not sure about anyone listening, but this is why I do it. I don't do it. Yes. Okay. Oklahoma State are hosting PTT events, and they're big believers of what we give and produce as a company, but also these stories are just amazing to me. I love listening. I love learning. I love communicating. And this is the reason why I started this podcast. So please, if you have more like that, DT, definitely share at some point throughout this. But let's shift gears. Okay. Let's talk about the Cowboys. Let's have a look here. So we are looking at right now, we have Alessio Basile, Ian Brax, Thomas Gadecki, Hayden Guk-Pinar, can't say that very well, Nicholas Cobelt, Derek Pham, Ben Stecker, Charlie Valentine, and Aaron Williams. Tell us, expectations, mindset for this year as a program. Where are we?
Well, you got to go back to the job at hand, right? I took this job in 2021. We had 1 player on the roster, but I took it because you have no excuses at Oklahoma State not to be great. We have 55 national championships, team championships. Very few people know that. That's the 5th most of any university in the country. We won 2 more national championships last year, men's golf, and I believe it was men's cross country. Our expectations are high at Oklahoma State. And I took the job because you have no excuse. And for some people, that'll scare you, right? You want to have excuses. But if I don't get the job done, at least I can look back and say, hey, I had no reason. It all came down to me. I'll own it. And that's just part of life, right? So last year we had a tough year. We had just about everything turn over. I don't want to make one single excuse ever. But we lost a great class. Was the first class that was brought in when I got there. Graduated 3 great seniors. Lost 3 recruits in December that were coming in January. Had one of our senior captains break his arm in a scooter accident. So we had one of those years, and we scheduled really, really tough. So we didn't meet the expectations, simple as that, of Oklahoma State and Cowboy tennis. So the expectations this year to get back where this program belongs, where the fan base wants it and believes it should be, and and become relevant again. We're notoriously a top 25 team, been as high as 7 in the country, reached a few Elite Eights, a number of Sweet 16s. Julian Cash played for us, Wimbledon champion. Tyler Zink, one of the quickest guys in the top 300 here in the last 2 years, graduated from us just 2 years ago. And then obviously what I've been a part of, my world has gotten shrunk thanks to my players. So, you're looking at a coach it's not that I'm not going to be happy if we're not winning national championships and great, but I've been a part of it, and it's hard not to be a part of it or want your guys to be a part of it year in and year out. So that's what'll eat at me. That's what will wake me up in the morning. That's what'll take me over to Europe for a week in the fall to chase down. We still have room for 2 more players in January. But the expectations are to live up to what Oklahoma State stands for, and that's a level of excellence and championship caliber teams.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. You were obviously an assistant at Virginia where you won 3 national titles, okay? Winning 1 is arguably the hardest thing ever to do in the sport, in college tennis. But winning 3, that's a whole nother level, right? Yeah. Obviously, at this similar time, no, actually it was like 10 years earlier, but whatever. I was the assistant at Tennessee, and we didn't win national titles, but we were very close. And I ask myself a lot of times, and the reason why I ask myself this question is because a former mentor and boss of mine, Mark Boris at Tulane, he asked me and he said, "What is your definition of success?" And I really had to think about it for a while, right? And at the time, I truly thought success was winning a national title, right? But now that I look back on it, my honest definition of success in coaching is getting a former player's wedding invitation and putting it on my fridge. That to me is success. And that didn't hit me until a couple of years ago. But my question to you is, what is with the success you've had, what's your definition of success? Tough one on the spot. By the way, he has no preparation for this. Sorry, DT.
Yeah, no. Again, you can go a lot of ways with success. Again, you just brought up, how many weddings you get invited to, that as being a success as a coach, which means how much impact you had with your players. For me, the definition of success is if you reached your full potential or not, if you maximized your talents. It's just that simple. And you maximize your opportunities. So, Virginia winning a national championship, that is success. But that's also the standard at Virginia. That's prior to me being there, they had won 1. We won 3. Since then, they've won 2 more. And they were probably a point away last year from, playing Wake Forest in the finals again, who they beat in the ACC final or during the ACCs, I believe. So, for me, it's how close you get, or if you get to maximizing your talents and maximizing your success, because or maximizing your opportunities. Because I look back at my time at Virginia, we were a point away all 3 years from not winning those 3 years. And I'm on this podcast and we're 0 for 3, and Virginia maybe only has 2 or 3 national championships. I went in there, I signed a 3-year contract with Bolin. I dropped off with Coach Bolin. I dropped off as a national coach. And not too many national coaches had done that at that point. I think Mark Merklin had left and gone to Michigan, and maybe Mike Sell had gone to LSU. But when I went in there, Brian said, "Hey, I'm bringing you in here because we have 5 sophomores that are absolute studs, and I think we can win 3 national championships." And I said, "Okay," and that's Bolin's mentality, right? For me, I went home from that meeting and looked myself in the mirror and I said, "Buckle your seatbelt," right? I've been nice and cozy being a national coach and overseeing players for a little bit and had 2 children. Like, now I'm in the arena and here we go. And then I said, you know what? I can't do this job to win national championships. I can't, because that's going to come down to an inch. And if it goes our way, then great. If it doesn't, then I've got to be able to live with myself and not feel like these years were failures. So I wouldn't say my definition of success, but my mission when I was at Virginia was to make sure that those guys had the 3 best years of their life. Bottom line.
Right.
I said, I'm going to have these guys over to the house for barbecues. I'm going to take these guys to Virginia soccer games at night because Klockner Stadium is beautiful. We're going to go to Fenway when we go to Boston and play Boston. We've got we're gonna do everything. We're gonna have fun, and if it rolls our way, and we did it the right way. So again, everyone's definition of success is different. I like that you said that. I've 2 great weddings last year, Max Seisinger and Ryan Shane. Been to a number of my players' weddings, and my biggest mentor, Mike DePalmer Sr. We've got guys there. I see the Tennessee behind you, and Coach D was legendary coach there at UT, and Woods coach, and so many others. That was his definition of success as well. He said you can measure a great coach by how many weddings they get invited to throughout their lifetime, and so that's also stuck with me.
Yep.
Yeah, every time an invite comes, there's been some weddings I flew in to Steve Johnson's wedding. I don't know where I was at the time, but I flew in that day and flew out that night, but I wasn't going to miss that. And it was a wonderful night. And that's when you really get to see, if you did it the right way with your guy or not.
For sure. So if your guys listen to this, or they're listening right now, what message do you have to your team? What message do you have for your coaches? What message do you have for your support staff this year as a head coach? Is there anything you want them to hear? I have something I would like them to hear, but what do you have something? Do you have anything?
Guys, we all need to realize that, and especially the players need to realize they only get 4 of these, or maybe 5, or maybe 6. I mean, obviously things have changed in college sports, but you only get 4 of these, or like I said, a handful of them, and don't throw them away. Don't waste a day, because these are the best years of your life. These are the best years of your tennis life. And these, until you have children, they're the best years of your life. So cherish every day, find a way to accept one another, and challenge one another, and come together and be a band of brothers, because that is certainly special. Something that Coach Bolin was remarkable at, taking a group of high-powered individuals, a lot of talent on those teams, obviously, to win national championships. But he got them to buy into selflessness. He got them to buy into it's my duty to look across the net every practice and give him my best. So yeah, I would, again, for everybody, again, a lot's going on in our world, a lot's going along in our country. Cherish every day. And again, I think if you would probably ask me that question and tomorrow, I might have a different answer, but that's just where my mind is right now in this current state, and where Cowboy tennis is at this point. It starts with privilege. It starts with with gratitude, and there it is right there. So
love it. Well, I really hope one of the things I think is very easy, makes it easier on the coach, is when you find established leaders in your program. And I hope you have that. I wish I maybe was a little controlling at times, but I feel like if you can really allow your players to lead, great things can happen. And my message to your team is simply come together and win. That's it. Come together as a unit, as a team, and win. And I hate to put a result on the end of it, but winning is important. Like, winning feels great. Winning brings people together. And if you're not prepared to do that, then you need to put in more time on the practice court. You need to be doing things when the coaching staff aren't watching. So anyway, I'm getting a little fired up here, but I love it. So, recruiting.
Yes.
Someone's listening who's considering coming to Oklahoma State. Why? Why should they come to Oklahoma State?
You come to Oklahoma State for the people, and it starts with me, at the top. I'm the long-standing one. I'm going to be there hopefully till I'm 65 or 70, or as long as they'll keep me. I've had other opportunities to go elsewhere already, and I'm not going anywhere because I love Stillwater. I love what it stands for. I love the people, the community. I love our administration. I love our fellow coaches. And Stillwater, it's not for everybody. So those of you recruits that are listening, if you want the beach, you want the ocean, you need extrinsic things to be fulfilled in life, then you do not come to Oklahoma State, and that's okay. That there are high-powered, highly successful people in this world that do need that, and that's how they were conditioned and how they were brought up. But if you want to master a craft, then you come to Oklahoma State. And I don't care if you're a science major, if you're a professor, if you're a coach, or if you're a tennis player, or if you're a wrestler. Oklahoma State is about mastering your craft, getting a little isolated, being around greatness, and having an obligation to do, but also you better love what you do. Otherwise, again, don't come. So the environment is a bunch of guys that love the game, a bunch of guys that came to Oklahoma State for all the right reasons. Again, you don't come to Stillwater, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma State for the wrong reasons and stick around. And I don't mean wrong reasons. That if you want to have fun, that's not a wrong reason. But if having fun is partying and really, really getting after it in that regard, then again, go to Arizona State, go to Florida State, go to there's a lot of schools out there where you can have probably more fun than you can at Oklahoma State, even though we got 26,000, 18 to 23-year-olds. So again, it's you always want to go places where you're surrounded by the right people. You're a sum of the 5 people that you're closest with in the world, and I'm a big believer in that. So it's my duty to make sure that locker room is full of great people, and we have that. Last year we were just extremely young, and we just didn't quite have the horsepower. But on senior day we were up 3-1 on UCF. They were 16 in the country, and so they got a lot better, and they were knocking on the door as the year went on. Super proud of them for that, and they never wavered. And something I live by with every player I ever coached and every team I've been a part of. You got to lose together before you can win together. It's just that simple. You got to lose together before you can win together. So when I went to Virginia and Bolin tasked me with putting together the schedule, DT, everybody loves you. You're Mr. USTA. Everyone's going to want to play us now. No one wanted to play us when it was, me, Pedroso, even though God loved Pedroso. So I said, all right, Brian, I'm going to find losses. I want us to lose. I'm going to call every single from 1 to 20 and see who will let us come to them. So Ty Tucker, you want the Wahoos coming? And I love Ty, but he said no. Manny Diaz, you want the Cowboys, or you want the Wahoos coming? No. But we were going to all over the place to find losses. And so sure enough, during that time the boys were 94-7, but we needed all 7 of those losses during those 3 years to win those 3 national championships, because every loss, a massive, massive opportunity to grow and come together and show each other that you trust process. And for me, that's what it's about: getting exposed, being humble enough to accept it, and then move forward and go again and go again.
Do you run the program how Boland ran it at Virginia? In terms of practice, in terms of development, how does it look? How do you do it?
Well, that's kind of a 2-part question, because Boland ran it as a business and maximizing his resources that he had. That was Coach Boland's gift. Was he knew seats on the bus and who he wanted in each seat, and then he would put you in that seat. And he would empower you incredibly well. He would get you insanely confident in that seat. And you just had, we would have staff meetings 6 a.m. Monday morning to start the week, every single Monday. And Becky, his wife, would bring donuts and coffee. And we would sit down there, and by year 3, we had 25 people showing up, academic advisors. We had everybody wanted to be a part of this. So, and we would sit around the table down in the basement of Boar's Head, and Bolin would go, all right, JC Aragon, DT, where's his tennis at? And then he'd go, Suzanne, where's his body at? He'd go, Adam, where's his academics at? He'd go, Becky, where's his equipment at? He'd go around to all of us in our seats and ask us where every single player down the roster they were at in our specific role. So do I run it like that? I don't, because that was Bolin's gift. That was his skill set. And he ran the program for him as the head coach differently than I run it as a head coach, because my strengths are much different than Bolin's. I wish I had a lot of his strengths. But I still love being on the court. I still love being part of their development. I still love, being able to ask how their tennis is doing and have a little bit more of a say than Coach Bolin. Coach Bolin would always take 1 or 2 guys, and that would be his guys. And then, I would typically take 4 or 5 guys, and then our volunteer at the time would take another 2 guys, and we would just get after it. And it was, again, 3 remarkable years, special years. But how we run it, it's similar. We divide the players up amongst the staff, and we go. But I'm, again, our culture, the same, exact same. And that's where I credit Coach Bolin in the fact that he got a young coach. I think I was 33, 34, 35 at the time, but I had just come off 2 years where I oversaw college tennis for the USTA. So I was very involved with a number of top players and got to see behind the scenes a number of top programs. And so when I came in, Brian said, look, I'm burnt out. I've been doing this for so many years now, X number of years, and I'm bringing you in as a completely fresh slate. How would you run this team? How would you run this team? And it started with I said, Brian, how do you want this team to be run? What do you want us to be remembered as? Like what when I watch Virginia, I just think of talent. Like I saw Mitchell Frank out there. I saw Jameer Jenkins out there. I saw Damajan out there. I saw a bunch of individuals, but I didn't quite see the team, to be quite honest, and he said, I get it. I was like, you played the national championship. You had one guy in an orange shirt, one guy in a white shirt, one guy in a blue shirt. But maybe that's what you want to be known. So what do you want to be? How do you want your teams to be known, Brian? And he said, I want them to be known as being disciplined. I want them to be known as being competitive, and I want them to be known as being a team. And I said, okay, that's awesome. I love that. Those are 3 great pillars to stand on. How do you make your team disciplined? Like what is discipline? And we just went through an amazing process together to create a culture of discipline, competitiveness, and team. And that's what we have at Oklahoma. It's the exact same at Oklahoma State. Discipline leads to freedom. So you better be disciplined. So for us, we create disciplines for our players. And when they follow them, that's how you build self-confidence. You build self-confidence by, you say you're going to wake up every morning this week at 6 a.m. and you're going to get on the treadmill. If you actually do that and you do it the whole week, 7 days in a row, you're going to wake up on that Sunday and you're going to be proud of yourself. And you're going to say, you know what? I'm sticking to something. And that's going to give you a little bit of peace of mind. That's going to give you a little bit of confidence. That's going to give you a little bit of separation from good to great. So discipline was kind of the pillar. And that's the pillar of Cowboy tennis is discipline. Competitiveness, you can't, you either run to it or you run away from it. It's that simple, and that's what I love about you. You're one of my favorite competitors as a coach that I've ever seen. And I'm not just smoke. I miss watching you in the arena. I miss watching you pig pile. I miss, texting you, hey, be careful wrapping that shirt around in the quarters. Do it when you win a title. But I miss seeing that fire and you not scared of the arena. Like that was special. I was out of the game during those times. And the few matches I actually watched, you were a part of them. So,
By the way, that was a mistake.
It was, but it's because you're an insane competitor, my man. So again, competitiveness, second pillar, and then the third pillar is the pillar of team. And together, everyone achieves more. So
discipline, competitiveness, team.
To be that's it. Yep. And then so those are really the three cultures that we had at Virginia, and that's how we ran them. At Virginia, we had every guy had an individual, and every single day scheduled on the schedule, 1 to 2 hours. And then we had team practice, only competing, period. I don't want to talk about your forehand, your backhand. I don't want to talk about anything. We are going to compete. You're going to learn how to be a competitor. So team practice, competing. Your forehand's breaking. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow at your individual. We will get to it, but slice it, figure it out, find a way. So
all right,
I
got two more questions for you. I got two more. Okay. The first one I have to ask you. You are one of the biggest believers, especially since the beginning of the summer, in PTT events. Your guys have been playing PTTs relentlessly. You're hosting a PTT in November, and you're also hosting a PTT in January. Why? Why is that?
Why am I having our guys play PTTs? Why are we hosting?
Why are they playing PTTs, and why are you hosting?
Our guys are playing PTTs because you get 4 to 5 guaranteed matches against equal level opponents, and that's priceless. That is extremely hard to find. And to be a great college player, you have got to be able to lose one day, pick yourself back up, and win the next day, or at least give yourself a chance. You go play futures, you don't do that. You lose, and you don't get to play the next day unless you lost in the final and you're in qualies the next day somewhere else. So that's an amazing opportunity as well. So you get 4 to 5 matches against equal level competition. That's hard to find. Typically at a future, you play a 14-year-old, you play a guy that got a bye that is 35 years old. Then you play the top seed who's a 13-3 UTR and you're a 12-3, and you get beat 2-1. And you played 3 matches, but against equal level opponents, I'm not quite sure. For the high level guys that are main draw futures, okay. But for guys that are developing through college, 4 to 5 guaranteed matches, the ability and opportunity to lose and get another opportunity the next day to rally and get it done, or at least have the opportunity to play. And then again, we got to send our guys together. And they got into the tournament, and they got to support each other for 4 or 5 matches, come together as teammates. They're priceless. I mean, they are, I've told you this a number of times. Please thank your entire team, because this around the world, not just in America, is changing the game. It is a huge developmental tool right now in the world of tennis, because we're all looking for competitive matches and getting exposed. And that's the only way to get better. The only way to get better is to throw yourself out there. And then hosting, again, we get hopefully all 9 of our guys right now we have 6 in Stillwater. So all 6 of our guys on our courts. Some of them haven't played in the arena, so they get somewhat to play in the arena, get some fans out there, apply a little bit of pressure. And they get 4 to 5 matches in Oklahoma State on our courts. We don't count it as a date because they're waking up in their own bed. We'll play by the rules and let them do their thing, but we don't burn a date on them. And again, it's for benefits of hosting futures as well. But when you got 6 guys, especially young guys, it's amazing. I don't know how else to glorify it.
I love it. Well, appreciate that information. The last question I have, and unfortunately you only have 3 minutes to answer it, okay? But arguably should have given you more time, and I apologize about this. Do you mind if I name your family?
Please do. They are the better half. Let's be honest.
You are married to Jenny, and you have 5 children: Mackenzie, Brooklyn, Tatum, Decker, and Hayes. Tell us about your family. Tell us about how you manage and do what you do, but at the same time be a dad, be a husband. You know, I think it's very easy to get too carried away sometimes into the job. There's a fine line there, and there's a balance. Tell us how you do that. Sorry for the limited time.
No, it's day to day, right? I mean, you have days where you're like, all right, I did it. I separated who I am from what I am. You know, who I am is obviously a loving husband and father and leader of the family. What I am is a tennis coach, college tennis coach, sometimes doing well, sometimes getting humbled and not doing so well. So, you know, that's probably the first thing is making sure that you separate who you are from what you are, and you let who you are dictate what you are, and not vice versa. Because if I let what I am, especially last year and some of these times, dictate who I am, then I'm probably not a great husband. I'm not a great father. So separating that. And then again, I mean, my wife is amazing. You don't have 5 children without having an amazing wife that wants 5 children. And you know, she nannied for a family of 5 when she was a junior, senior in high school, and then throughout her college years. So she knew what she was getting into in some capacity. Of course, your own is a whole different animal. But you know, she wanted a big family. I came from 3 older sisters, about 10 years older than me. So I was kind of a hybrid only child / had siblings. So I didn't envision having 5 children, but life just happens. And then lastly, you don't get to 5 kids unless they're good kids, right? If the first 2 were absolute tears, then no chance we're at 5. So you got to credit Mackenzie and Brooklyn. They were great. We got to Decker. Well, that's also a part of it. We had our boy 4th. We had 3 girls. Then we had our boy. And before we realized what boys were all about, we had our 5th. So I love our boy Decker. He's the man. He's 8 right now. 8 is great. But boys are a different animal. They're throwing balls, they're kicking, they're dirty, they're playing in the mud. If we had 5 boys, then I'm not quite sure that I have as little or as much hair as I have, and life is the way it is. So,
well, I appreciate that. I mean, I hate to throw you on the spot, but it is very important, not only for tennis coaches, but also any coach out there to manage that balance. But DT, I appreciate your time. You're a great friend, great mentor. I look forward to coming to Stillwater in November. Yes. Your PTT event. I'm coming that way. All the best this season. Best of luck to you. Best of luck to the team. And I wish you all the best. Okay.
Thank you, James. Thank you for our friendship. You've been great. And you and your UTR team for the impact you're having on the world of tennis, the sport that we love. So again, debt of gratitude goes to you and your team, and keep being the father that you are. I know you're in the thick of it now, and there's no better chapter in life. Let's be honest. So enjoy every day.
Thank you. Cheers.
Yeah. Cheers.